Oh, there are so many yummy vegetarian options out there. You could try like lentil soup, veggie burgers, tofu stir fry. The possibilities are endless. So, we need to talk about an event that was so massive, so shocking, it literally changed television forever. This is the story of an episode of the world's biggest show, an episode that sent hundreds of children straight to the hospital. It became known as the Pokémon Shock. And to really get what happened, we've got to go back to the beginning. Okay, so before we get to the incident itself, you have to understand just how huge Pokémania was in late 1997. I mean, it wasn't just a popular show or a hit video game. No, it was a full-blown cultural tidal wave. For kids all across Japan, Pokémon was everything. It was a weekly ritual. Think about this. Every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., 4.6 million homes tuned into TV Tokyo. They were all there to watch Ash and Pikachu's latest adventure. It was a national event. For a full 30 minutes, pretty much all the kids in the entire country were glued to the same screen at the same time. And this fan comment really says it all, right? Looking back, of course, everyone wishes they could have stopped what was about to happen. The show was a juggernaut, an unstoppable force. But absolutely nobody, not the producers, not the network, and definitely not the millions of kids watching, had any idea that this obsession was about to collide with a national emergency. Which brings us to that one night. We're talking about episode 38, Deno Senshi Porygon, or as we'd call it, Electric Soldier Porygon. The whole idea was actually really cool for the time. Ash and his friends were going to take a trip into the new mysterious world of cyberspace. So the plot is pretty straightforward. Ash and the gang get digitized, right? They go inside the computer network for the Pokémon transfer system because, you guessed it, Team Rocket has hijacked it. Inside this digital world, they meet Porygon, a Pokémon made entirely of computer code, and team up to fight the virus. So we're getting close to the end of the episode. The group is trying to escape the computer, but they get attacked by an antivirus program that's firing missiles at them. To save everyone, Pikachu does what Pikachu does best. He jumps in and unleashes a massive thunderbolt attack. And this is the exact moment it all went terribly wrong. The animators showed this explosion with an unbelievably intense strobe effect. We're talking about frames of pure red and pure blue light flashing back and forth at a rate of 12 times per second. And it wasn't just a quick flash. It went on for almost 5 seconds straight. It was a visual effect nobody had ever seen on TV before, and we were about to find out why. The second the broadcast was over, the phones started ringing off the hook, first at the TV station, then at fire departments, then at hospitals all over Japan. In living rooms everywhere, a truly terrifying scene was playing out. One of the show's executive producers, Masakazu Kubo, would later just call it the worst day of my life. 685. That was the official count of children who had to be rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. Hundreds of kids just watching their favorite show, suddenly collapsing. It was a mass casualty event caused by a cartoon. And get this, that number doesn't even count the thousands more who reported feeling sick at home. The symptoms were just staggering. Doctors were seeing everything from dizziness and blurred vision to kids going temporarily blind, feeling nauseous, and even having full-blown convulsions. It was an instant, nationwide medical crisis, happening all at once in homes from one end of the country to the other. The corporate panic set in immediately. The very next morning, Nintendo's stock absolutely tanked, dropping 12,200 yen. And their first move? A shockingly defensive statement basically saying, hey, we have nothing to do with the show, it has nothing to do with our games. Meanwhile, the president of TV Tokyo had to go on air and give this huge public apology, trying to contain a PR nightmare that nobody had ever seen before. And just like that, Pokémon was gone. The most popular show in the world just vanished from the airwaves. It was put on hiatus indefinitely, and nobody knew if it would ever come back. The whole machine just ground to a halt, while an entire country and very soon the whole world tried to figure out what just happened. All right, so in the middle of all this chaos, a massive investigation kicks off. You've got experts from the media, from medicine, from the government, all scrambling to figure out what went wrong. They had to separate the real facts from all the crazy myths that were already starting to spread. Pretty quickly, they landed on the medical cause, photosensitive epilepsy, or PSC. The Japanese investigators even called in experts from the UK, who had actually seen smaller-scale incidents like this before. And they confirmed it. Those super intense, fast-flashing red and blue lights were basically the perfect trigger for a seizure, even in people who had no idea they were susceptible. But probably the biggest myth to come out of all this was about the Pokemon the episode was named after. Because it was called Electric Soldier Porygon, everyone just assumed Porygon was the problem. It became the face of the disaster. But here's the crazy part. Porygon was completely innocent. The flash was caused by Pikachu's attack hitting the missiles, not Porygon. And here's another rumor you've probably heard, that the news reports replaying the clip caused a second wave of seizures. Yeah, that's also just not true. The research shows that TV Tokyo knew how dangerous the footage was, so they refused to give it to news channels. The news had to use still frames instead. There is just zero evidence to back up that claim. The real legacy of the Pokémon Shock is actually baked into the TV you watch today. This whole incident directly led to brand new, super strict guidelines for all Japanese animation. And these rules were really specific, like flashes can't happen more than 3 times a second, and there are major restrictions on using large flashing fields of red light. It was a direct response to what neurologists learned about how it affects the brain. So after 4 long months, Pokémon did eventually come back on the air. But things were different now. And for that one episode, and for its main Pokémon star, well, there was no coming back. Electric Soldier Porygon was pulled from circulation everywhere instantly. It has never, ever been officially broadcast again. Not dubbed, not released in any country since that one single airing in Japan on December 16, 1997. It is, for all practical purposes, a ghost in the machine. And here's the real gut punch, the ultimate irony of this whole story. Even though Porygon was the hero of the episode and was 100% blameless for what happened, it became the scapegoat. Porygon and its evolutions were basically banished from the anime forever. They've never had a real role since. Meanwhile, Pikachu's fame just kept exploding. And that leaves us with this question that people still ask decades later. So, who was really to blame? Was it the animators who made a dangerous creative choice? Was it the network for not catching it? Or was it just a freak accident, something nobody could have predicted from a global phenomenon that was just so new and so powerful? Honestly, the real answer is probably somewhere in the middle of all that.